Naman naman naman. Hello, everyone. The title of my message today is The Light of a Star. For a number of years, I had the good fortune of serving as a minister along with Reverend Akio Miyagi, who is now retired and resides in Japan. Quite often at funeral services, Reverend Miyagi used to share the following true story in his messages. Years ago, when he was a minister in Seattle, at the early stages of his ministerial career, he had to conduct a very sad funeral service. There was a young family from Japan, and they were on a ski trip. And there was a terrible car accident, and the husband and wife died in the accident, leaving their young boy, 7 or 8 years old, who survived the accident. And so Reverend Miyagi had to do this funeral service for this young couple. And the little boy is sitting there in the front pew, the sole survivor of the accident, with his uncle sitting next to him, who was going to bring him back to Japan to raise him. After the funeral service, the little boy went up to Reverend Miyagi, and he asked to Reverend Miyagi, "Where are my parents? Where did they go?" And Reverend Miyagi could have given a doctrinal answer like, "They're in nirvana," or "they're in the Pure Land." But instead of giving an answer like that to this young boy, he took the boy outside of the temple. It was in the evening, and he pointed to the sky. And he pointed to a very bright star. And he said, "You see that star? That's where your parents are. When you miss your parents, you can go out at night and look at the brilliant light of this star." The little boy was consoled by this. And then years went on, and Reverend Miyagi, every year at New Year's time, he would receive a season's greeting card from this boy who was now an adult, a young man. And he would write to Reverend Miyagi, and every year he would say, "I have never forgotten what you shared with me that night of my parents' funeral service. Thank you for giving me such a wonderful teaching." It has been with him throughout his entire life. I think it's a most beautiful story and shows the compassion and also wisdom that Reverend Miyagi had to share something meaningful with that little boy to console him. When I took a class in college on astronomy, I learned about stars. And it was quite fascinating to learn that the stars that we see at night, they're bright and shining and twinkling. Many of those stars actually have already died. But because they're so far away, millions of light years, not miles, but light years away from us, that although the star itself has died, we continue to receive the light from this star. And I have often shared that image with families at memorial services as well. I'd also like to share the image of the light of a candle. And this is something that I have learned from reading one of Thich Nhat Hanh's books, the wonderful Vietnamese Buddhist master, the author of many books on Buddhism. In one of his books, Thich Nhat Hanh talks about the light of a candle. So normally we think that a candle has a limited life, and once we light it, it burns in this vertical dimension. And when the wax is all gone and when the flame has been extinguished, we think that the life of the candle is also gone. But Thich Nhat Hanh points out that, wait a minute, as this candle is burning this way, it's giving out light and warmth spatially every second that it burns. Now, we might not think that the light and warmth of a candle is all that much, but if you were in a dark cave and you had no flashlight, but you had one candle, that would be a tremendous source of light. Or let's say you were in an igloo in Alaska, it's freezing cold, you have no source of warmth, but you have one candle. That would be a tremendous source of warmth in such frigid cold. So Thich Nhat Hanh says that even when the candle flame has been extinguished, all the light and all the warmth that the candle has been radiating all that time continues out into the world. Just like the light of the star, after the star dies, we continue to receive that light from the star. Light is a most powerful image in many religions, especially in Shin Buddhism. The core, the heart of the Buddha, is expressed as immeasurable light. Immeasurable light. Shinran Shonin calls this light an unobstructed light. It is a light that can't be blocked by anything. We could take a room and we could close the windows and the drapes and we could make a room pitch black in the daytime. But light, the light that Shinran Shonin is talking about, is not that kind of physical light. He's talking about a light that can penetrate even into the darkness of our own heart and mind. Many years ago, I was giving a message, and I sometimes have a dialogue with the Sangha or the people listening, and I asked the Sangha, where do you think the darkest place is on earth? And one gentleman raised his hand and he said, Carlsbad Caverns. I've never been there. I guess it's like a cave. It's just pitch black. And I said, no, there's someplace darker. Surprisingly, his little boy sitting next to him, maybe about 10-year-old boy, raised his hand and said, no, I know somewhere darker than that. Oh, what's darker than Carlsbad Caverns? And he points like this. Such a profound answer. Our own mind, our own heart and mind is maybe the darkest place on earth. But yet, this light of the Buddha, the light of the Dharma, the light of Namu Amida Butsu penetrates even into the darkness of our own heart and mind. Sometimes the world around us can become quite dark. And I think the world today is in need of light. It's in need of light, this immeasurable light, that then comes out from within us. When we encounter that immeasurable light, when we encounter the Buddhadharma, then that light begins to emanate from our life, and we give light and warmth to the world. It is my hope that even when the world gets very dark, that we can turn to and open our hearts and minds to the world of immeasurable light, and in that way extend light and warmth to the world. Namandavats, namandavats, namandavats.